Hi everyone, my name is Federico Tartarini and in this video I just want to show you how you can convert this Excel table into a LaTeX table. Okay, so this is the table that we have here on the left and this is the table that we want to generate in our paper. I will actually show you also how to put different lines, so it's going to look a little bit better than the one that we have here on the screen. First of all, the question that you might ask, why do you need a tool, a specific tool to convert this Excel table into a LaTeX table? Well, we cannot simply copy and paste this table into LaTeX because otherwise it will not render well. We need to write some code that wraps the table and the data. Okay, so we need, for instance, to space the numbers with an ampersand symbol, and then we need to begin a table. So we need to begin in this environment. So it requires a little bit of code. Okay, so the scope of this video, I'm going to show you three different tools that you can use to copy this table here into LaTeX. Okay, these two have different level of complexity, and these are create table, so from tables generator, an extension for Excel to LaTeX, called Excel to LaTeX, an extension for Excel, okay, that you can install it as an add-in to your Excel. And finally, I'm going to use the one that is the most powerful one. However, it requires a little bit more of setup, which is Pandas, the data frame to LaTeX. Okay, this is by far the most powerful, and I will show you all the benefit of using this one, but it requires a little bit more of setup. Okay, so let's first start with the simplest one, which is create a LaTeX table. Okay, right now I've already copied pasted it here, but let's say that you open this page and you have like some random data. You can just do right click, column, remove columns, right click, row, remove rows, and actually let's first select everything with the left button, and then column, remove columns, and then row, remove rows. Okay, so we just have one cell generator, so we just have empty code. We go here, we copy our table, so we select it all here on Excel, control copy. We click on this cell here, control V, and we have copied it here. I want to use this book tab, so let me just open a little bit more, okay, because it depends how it's going to render. So you can have default style, okay, with no lines, but I actually prefer to have the book tabs table style, because you have a top row, a mid row here, and a bottom row. Okay, it's super simple, this tool. You just hit on generate. This is going to generate your code here, copy to clipboard, and then we can go in LaTeX. I'm going to show you both how to generate the table locally on your computer, which I think also is much easier, but I will also show you here with Overleaf, okay? Because some of you might be using Overleaf because it's a little bit simpler, okay? So let's compile this document. We have a very simple document here with just a document class article. We have a hello. Let's go and copy our table. Just copy and paste from that website what we got, recompile, okay? And this is going to create our table. However, we can already see that there are two little problems, okay? One are all these errors, okay? Why there are all these errors? Well, we need a package called book tabs in order to have this mid rule, bottom rule, and top rule, okay? Let's go and add this package. So use package book tabs. Let me actually zoom in a little bit so you can see better. Okay, here we are. So we have just added this use package, recompile, and now we can see, actually maybe I've zoomed in too much. Okay, so we can see that now we have the rule, the lines as we want. If we want the table to appear here next to the text, we can just put a H here in the square bracket after table. Okay, so that's better. And then the table will come here after the text. Okay, so this is by far the simplest method. If you don't want to use these book tabs, you can actually replace top rule with H line. And then you have to replace mid rule and bottom rule also with H line. It's going to be less beautiful because the lines are going to change, but you don't require that package. It's up to you. Okay, I prefer to use that package, but then we have to revert to top rule, mid rule, and bottom rule, and then you can use the package, and then we can see our table that is rendering well. Okay, this is by far the simplest way of adding a table. And let me hit recompile, and I'm going to recompile it. The second method that I want to show you is to downloading this extension to and add it, this add-in, and add it to your Excel. So this is called Excel to LaTeX. So let's go back in Excel where we were before. We go Files, Options, Add-ins, Excel add-ins, go, Browse. Okay, so here we have no add-in. So let's go back here, download. Okay, so we are downloading it here from this page, which is ctan.org.package.pkg Excel to LaTeX. We open it in downloads. Okay, we unzip this file, extract it, extract. So we go back to downloads. We go to Excel to LaTeX. We open it again, and we just get this file here. Okay, so we just have to drag this file here into here. So into add-ins, we just drag this file here into the Excel where we went before. Okay, so I added it before, but I canceled it after. So let me show you quickly again. File, Options, Add-ins, Manage, go, and then we browse, and now we want to see that this file is here. So I drag it here from the downloads to this folder here. So we click on cancel because we have already opened, and we need to enable it here. We need to make sure that there is this check mark. Let's press OK. Now, as you can see, this add-in has appeared. So we go here, add-in. Actually, let me close Excel and open it again, because it's going to render a little bit better. So let me just go to my downloads folder where I have this example table. Okay. So I've opened the Excel file again. So now we can go to add-ins. Okay. So convert all stored table to LaTeX or convert table to LaTeX. Okay. So we just get this table. We select the data, convert to LaTeX. As you can see here, I've already selected the data and the table is already rendering properly. And again, here is asking us if we want to use the book tab package, yes or no. Okay, so we copy to the clipboard, and then we go back to Overleaf, which we had before here. So we are going to copy this table here. So let's compile again. And as you can see, looks very similar to the previous table that we had. It's just change how we are centering all the data into the table. Okay. So first of all, here we are using a centering command. So if we remove this centering command, let's comment this one, putting a % in front. You will see that the table now will not be no more centered in the center of the paper. And also you can change how these numbers are aligned in the cell by just changing R, L, or C. So R means right alignment, C means center alignment, and L means left alignment. So let me just change. So the first column should be center aligned, the second column left aligned, and the third column right aligned. Okay. So as you can see here, it's a little bit different from the previous table as well, because we are only using the mid rule. Why there is only the mid rule? Because when we have exported this table, we only added a line underneath the heading. So we can go home, we can add a line now. So let me add a border at the top and a border at the bottom. Okay, let's go back, let's select all the data that we want to export, add ins, convert to table to LaTeX. We have all the data here. We want to have books tab package, copy to clipboard, and we can go back here and we can replace all this table here. So let's just copy and paste. So now recompile. Okay, perfect. Now it looks exactly the one at the top. It's up to you if you prefer to have it centered or not. If you don't, just comment this line of code with Ctrl// or just putting an % in front. Okay, these by far were the two simplest way of adding a table to your LaTeX document. And these are extremely powerful. If you want to stop here, well, already you know two ways of converting Excel to LaTeX. However, I think these two methods, while they are nice, they have a lot of limitations. So if your data change, or if you want to keep them sync, and think about if you have a lot of tables, okay, this is going to become a little bit more annoying, because let's say that I want to change the data, okay, so I realize that here there was an error, I want this data to be true, okay, and let's say that in my paper I have 15 tables, okay, so every time I will have to go here, open the file, convert to LaTeX, and copy and paste it over there. Okay, this can become a little bit of a problem. Okay, so the third way that I want to show you is how to do it with Python. The only problem is that you have to just bear with me, and I will show you all the steps, but it's going to be a little bit more complex. Very simple. It's going to require only 3 lines of Python code, and I will show you actually the line here. So the Python code that we're going to need is exactly this one. There are only 3 lines of code. The only problem that you will need to, the only thing is that you will have to use LaTeX locally, so you will not have to use Overleaf, which I'm sure a lot of you already do that. So you don't have to worry about too much about that, because Overleaf is a very nice tool, but I always would recommend you to use LaTeX locally. So you can use TextMaker, or you can use MIK text, or in my case, as you can see here, I'm using PyCharm to compile the LaTeX code. And PyCharm can also help me to compile the Python code. Okay, so let's go very quickly through all the steps that you need to do in order to set up your experiment in PyCharm, to open the table with Python, and then to include it into your LaTeX document. Okay, I will show you all the steps. If you want to find out more on how to set up PyCharm, which is a fantastic tool both for your Python and for your LaTeX, just look at my video, and I will put here on the right side of this video, you should see a card coming up in which you see how to set up PyCharm. Okay, so let's go File, New Project. We go in Download, okay, and we create a new LaTeX project. Okay, so we call it User Downloads Untitled 1, and we configure BibTeX support. Okay, so we create a new project in a new window. So this is going to open. So let me just hide this one. So here, super simple, we have our source file, which inside contain our main text file. Okay, if you have already everything set up, you just need to press Ctrl+Shift+F10, and your document will compile. Actually, we just need to add a bit of text here. So we'll write hello. Let me write Shift+F10. Let's open Sumatra PDF. Hello. This is our document. Shift+F10, and I just want to show you that this is actually our document. Okay, let's actually go from Overleaf and copy a bit this introduction and make title. So we just copy all these packages here just to make it a little bit nicer. So we go here, and then we just put all these packages here. Perfect. So let's do Shift+F10 again. Let's go here, and we have our example, my name, date, introduction, and so forth. Okay, so we are exactly as we were before in Overleaf. So if you want to, and this of course, this file is just a LaTeX file that you can open simply with TextMaker or MIK text. Okay, if you want to do the same thing that you did before, you can go here, convert table to LaTeX, copy to clipboard, and paste it inside here. Okay, so let's do that super simple. Shift+F10, and you get your table. Of course, keep in mind that you need this package, use package book tabs. Okay, now I just want to show you a great trick, at least in my opinion. So you go here in the file, and we save this file, we save it as browse. So we save it here in downloads, example table, but we don't want to save it as an Excel file. We want to save it as a CSV file, comma delimited, okay? And we call it example table. Save this file, yes, and we close this file, okay? Don't save, and everything is fine. So now we go into our downloads. We have this example table, which is the CSV file, and we drag it over here in source, which we have all our LaTeX document, okay? So PyCharm already is showing us all the data that they were inside that table, okay? Let's go in source, right click, new, Python file, Python file, and we call it code underscore table. You can call it as you want. Okay. Now you just have to import one package, which is called import pandas as PD. And of course, you need to have Python installed on your computer. So if you have it already, just configure Python interpreter. I'm going to select Python 3.8. Then what I need to do is I need to open the file. Okay, I need to open the table here, example table, the CSV file. So how can we do that? We can create a data frame and pd.read CSV, and we are going to open the file. So the file is in source, and then is called example table. Example table dot CSV. Okay, let's run these two lines of code. Control A, Shift Alt E. Okay, and now we can. So I've just sorry, I just put the wrong, of course, because it's underscore table, it's not dash table. So Control A, Control Shift E. We have opened the file, and now we can explore the file here as view as data frame. We can see our file here as I was showing you before in Excel. Okay, so this is our file that we want to. Now we just have to do one last line of code, which is going to be the f.toLatex. We just have to specify the name of the file that we want to save it. So we want to call it table1.text, and then we don't want the index. Okay, index equal to false. Okay, so let's run this code again. Control A, Shift Alt E. Now if I click here in source, reload from disk, now we should have a new file. Sorry, I save it in the wrong source, table 1. I need to save it. So let me run the code again. Sorry for that. Source, reload from disk, table 1. Okay, so here we have our table. Actually, now I save it in this directory. So just let me delete it from here. Fantastic. So we have table 1. Table 1 is exactly what we want, is all our LaTeX file that we want. Okay. Now we just have to go to main text. We don't have to have all these verbose here, but what we can have here is just input, and then we are just to import table 1. Okay, Shift F10, let's compile, PDF, and here is our table. Okay, so if I comment this line, Shift F10, the table will disappear. Okay. If instead I uncomment this line, Shift F10, the table appears. Okay, and here we have our table. Of course, you can add, like inside here to LaTeX, it has a lot of functionalities, and I would actually recommend you to read a little bit more here, because you can add a caption, you can add whatever you want, you can have multi-column, multi-rows, you can add a caption. So let's, for instance, let me add a caption just very quickly. I want to show you caption, comma, caption, and the caption is equal to hello. And then we run this code, Control Shift E, and then we go to main, and we run Shift F10. Okay. Now we have also our caption here. Okay. So this is very nice because now we have our table that is inside our file. And of course, if you want to change that, as I showed you before, it's just because when you have begin table, you should put an F10, an H here. So now the table is back here at the top. The advantage of doing this is that if I want to change, for instance, something in the file, in the source table, and now I want to change a value, okay, let's change this value randomly to 2. Okay, I just need to go in code table, run code table. Okay, so run it. Actually, it's just because the project directory is not set up properly. Run this code table, then go in main, run it again. Okay, and now our value, as we just changed, has changed also in the table. Okay. So that's also very good because technically with the Python file, you can do a lot of things. You can even round the numbers. So round to 0. Okay, let me run this code again. Let's go to main. So we have to do Shift F10. Okay, can you see all the numbers are rounded without having to change the source file and without having to do copy and paste, which eventually could be a little bit, it could cause some errors. Okay, so I really hope you find this video interesting, and if you did, please consider hitting the like button or subscribing to my channel. Thank you very much for listening.